Role-playing games like Dragon Age, Divinity, and Fallout allow a player to act as they see fit within a fictional world. Role-playing is changing your own actions and behaviors in order to assume a new specialized role. That's why it's so crucial in these games that you are presented with your own choices and the consequences that you face afterwards. Far Cry is a beloved first-person action game developed by Ubisoft since 2004. Since the beginning, the gameplay has been mostly the same. In 2018, the latest addition to the franchise as of the creation of this video is Far Cry 5. In the previous games, you typically face off against various despots in underdeveloped areas. Far Cry 5, however, takes place in rural America in Hope County, Montana. The gameplay is very similar to previous Far Cry entries, featuring a wide arsenal of weapons, including pistols, baseball bats, shotguns, rifles, a lot of explosives, and some less traditional weapons. The movement feels smooth and responsive and allows you to make quick adjustments. The gunplay feels fun and intense, even though the overall difficulty of the game isn't very high. The instant kill with headshots mechanic helps make precise aiming feel more rewarding and brutal. However, the focus on gunplay leaves very little use for any melee weapons, even though the game has a wide variety to choose from. Why smack someone several times to death with a stick when a single shot to the head will do the job? Far Cry 5 wants you to think that it's an open-world roleplay game. It presents you with a wide world in which you can customize your character and choose your path. However, in reality, it's just a linear path that the game forces you down. At the beginning of the game, you are told you can choose between 3 different regions that you can start in, but in reality, your actions in these regions have no effect on the overall game. In reality, the only changes are the upgrades you can get for your characters, but the world doesn't change because of your actions. Regardless of which region you choose to start with, or how much uprising you bring down on Eden's Gate, the other regions don't trust you and hardly recognize you. The game also presents you with tons of side quests that you are allowed to complete at your own leisure, but when the game wants you to see a new piece of the main story, it will rip you away from whatever you're doing and force you into a new cutscene, then holds the player hostage for another 20 minutes before dropping them back onto the map. Ubisoft designed the game in such a way to trick the player into feeling like they had the agency to make their own decisions and affect the world of the game, but in reality, your actions have no impact. By forcing the player away from whatever they were doing to see the main story, the game makes your choices feel even less impactful. The game tries to make you think that you can avoid these abductions by warning you ahead of time, but in 2 of the 3 regions, avoiding the hunters is nearly impossible, and in the 3rd region, it is actually impossible, as the game will just choose to stick you in a cutscene wherever you are, even if you're flying a plane, driving a car, or fighting an enemy. In Jacob's region, you are shoved into a type of shooting range, following the very long dialogues Jacob has. In these shooting ranges, you fight against a timer as you rush through enemies. You do this a total of 3 times, and at the end of the 3rd time, you come across Eli, the leader of the resistance of Jacob's region, but you aren't given the choice to stop shooting or to overcome Jacob's mind-washing. The game forces you to gun down the resistance leader. Then, immediately afterwards, the game has the gall to have his friends yell at you. The game forces you to kill the man, then immediately yells at you for doing so. This is where I lost my hope for the game. I knew that my choices were meaningless now, but I wasn't expecting the ending of the game to fuck me over as much as it did. After about 20 hours of gameplay, you finally face off against the big bad of the game, and he presents you with a choice. You can either take your friends, who you've already saved, but he is recaptured off screen, and leave, or you can fight against him and your friends who have been brainwashed. If you choose to take your friends and leave, you all gather in a truck and talk about coming back with the National Guard. But the song you were brainwashed with comes on the radio, and the screen starts to turn red. Then the credits roll. So if you choose to leave with your friends, you kill them and lose. So that's one bad ending. If you go back to fight Joseph, you shoot your friends in the head to fix their hypnosis.
Realize that every problem cannot be solved with a bullet.
And with all your friends, you fight him again. Finally, you can arrest Joseph Seed and put an end to all this madness you've been forced to deal with. But then, the game drops an actual nuke on you, blowing up the entire state of Montana, and destroying the county that you've been working so hard to save for the last 20 hours.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Then the game puts you in a driving sequence as you try to get away from the blast. But this also doesn't matter, because it shoves you in a cutscene where you crash. Then you get dragged into a bunker by Joseph. So if you choose the ending where you fight the big bad, and, go for some closure for what you were doing, not only do you lose anyways, but you blow up all of Montana and get put into captivity with the final boss of the game. Yay! If you want a follow-up to this story, be willing to shill out $40 for New Dawn just to feel better about this shitty ending. But don't worry, there's a third secret ending. If you watch the very opening cinematic and then stare at Joseph for 5 minutes instead of trying to arrest him at the beginning of the game, you and your partners all turn around and leave. Might be a shit ending, but at least you don't nuke the state, right? It might seem like I really hated the game with how much I'm shitting on it, but I actually really enjoyed the overall gameplay and thought the gunplay was really enjoyable. Though the game has other flaws like the companion AI not being up to par. The game is fun to play. It's just a shame that developers thought it would be better to try and create a false sense of agency than actually implement some interesting choices that mattered and would impact the gameplay. With the newest game in the series coming soon, I hope that Ubisoft has realized the flaws with their last game and will try to do better. Even if they don't give the player any meaningful choices, hopefully they don't try to trick the player into thinking they've got any power, because all it does is frustrate the player. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more, please like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see next.